Howdy, how's it going? My name's Davvy Chappy, and I stepped out of the closet because it was too full of fabrics for my many costumes, and now I'm here to teach you how to put together a fantastic fantasy outfit without spending every coin in your purse. Today we're going to be talking thrifting, color theory, and style of dress, so that you can attend your very first LARP without looking poor, being poor, or hiring a seamstress, because we all know you can't sew. As always, keep in mind that the majority of this is just my opinion. I am sharing things that I have personally experienced, and if you have ideas of your own that have worked for you, then feel free to share them in the comments. But with that out of the way, let's begin. First thing I want to say is that at the end of the day, your outfit doesn't actually matter. Okay, video over. What I mean is, as long as you're putting in the effort to make an outfit that fits the genre of your game, no one is going to get mad at you for not coming out wearing a costume from a movie set. Your kit is made for you. It's your own form of expression that you make so that you can play the game at your own comfort level. And this video only exists to give you inspiration to help make a costume that you might want. But don't think that if you aren't making something that's at a designer level that you're not a good LARPer, or you're not allowed to go to these games. Some games do have a higher barrier of entry than others, but if you're feeling paranoid, you can take pictures of your kit and send them to your local LARP so that they can give you the okay themselves. However, you are here because you want to get options that should pass the bar of any game, so don't worry, trust Davvy. To start with, the obvious answer for where do I get my LARP clothes from is thrifting. It's just the most accessible option. For modern genre games, you can pick up a leather coat and pants, and you're basically good from a necessities perspective. But if you're going into a fantasy game, then you might find that your average t-shirt is not very genre. This is where you have to open your third eye and discover what it really means to be fantasy. That t-shirt might not work, but an oversized t-shirt is now a tunic. You just snip off all the sewn-in edges. The fancy dress shirt with patterns all over it is a great base if you put a vest over it. Jeans might be a no-go, but breathable baggy pants are just one step removed from harem pants, which fit the vibe fine. Even vests are fantasy as long as you can find the right pattern. It all depends on how the costume looks altogether, because each piece exists within the context of all the other pieces surrounding it. So if it all looks generally fantasy, then people are gonna read it as fantasy, even if it is just a bunch of modern clothes that are a little bit outdated. You do want to avoid anything with a modern logo on it, anything jean related, and anything that looks too manufactured, but there are a surprisingly large amount of options that you just have to squint a little bit to see. Light scarves are very in genre. Stripes are very good for pirates. Fancy patterns are the garb of the gentry. And when it comes to footwear, a lot of shoes are more fantasy than you would think. Dress shoes and a lot of women's boots fit the vibe of fantasy, which is more important than actually being historically accurate if you don't have historically accurate money. Be careful though, because the fancier the footwear, then the less likely your shoes are gonna have good traction. And if you go out into the woods with completely smooth bottoms, then you're gonna slip and fall and possibly hurt yourself. But back to the main point, if you're a guy, then you're really gonna have to get over the hump of stepping into the women's section. But once you do that, then there is an abundance available once you just start looking. And don't be disheartened if you don't find anything that speaks to you right away. I usually take a whole day to find my outfit by thrifting in different places, and sometimes I just don't find anything. And then some days I get my entire outfit picked out in 5 minutes. It's just the luck of the draw. Ultimately, if you're going to buy clothes for your LARP, then your success rate is somewhat going to depend on the genre of your game. Because unfortunately, fantasy may be the most popular type of LARP, but it also has the barrier of entry that you need to look something like this. There are videos online that can teach you how to turn a t-shirt and sweatpants into something resembling a filthy commoner, but there isn't anything super easier than just going to your local thrift store and buying a leather jacket and saying, all right, I'm ready for a modern post-apocalypse. I'm lucky that I'm sponsored by Burgschneider, so they just send me new fantasy clothes while begging me to stop testing their locks at night. But if you're a fantasy player on a low budget, then you're either going to need to know somebody who can sew or get real creative. Truth be told, fantasy LARPers know that it's difficult to get into the hobby, so showing any amount of enthusiasm at your first game and then coming back a few times is likely going to bring in an older LARPer who's just trying to get rid of some of their bags or maybe even a shirt, and over time, through osmosis, your outfit could just evolve around you without you making a conscious effort to do so. That does also mean that your outfit is somewhat guided by the hands of fate. And on the topic of fate, when we do actually get to designing the outfit, I have to say, in a perfect world, my first step would be brainstorming a look in my head, some vibe that I want to encapsulate, but I found that doing that kind of locks me in a mindset that isn't helpful when I'm making a costume on a budget. Yes, I might want flowing robes, but when I go to Goodwill and check their bath section, I'm only gonna find fluffy bathrobes with duckies on them, so my design is suddenly just stopped right there. But if I see something I like, then I hold on to it. I feel the vibe of the piece, and if I can just get inspired to build off of that, and if I like how I feel, then I throw it in the cart, and there we go. It takes a few tries, but as long as I find a top, a bottom, some shoes, I can worry about the accessories afterwards, because now I've got got a base to work from. Plus, my method of character creation as a whole comes from letting the character tell me about themselves in the moment. So if I find a nice snaky vest followed by a tan scalish pattern right after, then I guess my guy is into snakes now. I'm not always as freeform as that. I do like to have some idea of what I'm looking for, but since this whole process has such a high degree of randomness, I can't really turn a good outfit down. Just remember that the more that you go in with expectations, the more you limit yourself. So drop the context of what your costume should be and start imagining what it can be for you. Next, when I'm trying to decide the color of my outfits, I have a pretty hard rule. Avoid black clothes like the plague. I'm serious. Black is the easiest color for you to get your hands on, which means it's probably the color that the majority of your friends are going to be wearing as well. If you want to stand out, then you should have something that looks visually distinct, and the first way to do that is to make sure that you aren't just a guy in a ski mask and a black shirt and a black cape and some black pants and some black shoes, etc. You don't have to look like a Power Ranger, but black is a filler color that people choose when they don't know what to wear, and I'm going to teach you how to think past that. When black is no longer an option, you then have to ask the question, what color actually represents the personality of my character? And don't say black. For some of my characters, the answer is obvious. With this guy, I just picked as many green costuming pieces as I could. I threw in some brown to break up the green because brown and green are both planty, earthy colors, and I even painted my face and nails green because I wanted to be a little bit more exciting than just guy in vest, right? When I played a Druglord Diesel Jock, who was some mix between Fabulous Killjoy and Jinx from Arcane, I decided that I wanted a lot of very loud, flashy colors. But I also knew that if I just overloaded the whole thing with extreme color, then my outfit would be an eyesore, and we don't want to go so far in the other direction that we are just making color vomit. Except sometimes we do. So, for that character, I decided that the base was going to be light gray. Since the base color was gray, I put all the big poppy colors of yellow and purple on the accents, so that you could still get the vibe without it being all up in your face. The light gray kept things grounded. It was a jumpsuit. It let people know that this was a worker type person, and without me using incredibly dark colors, you can get the vibe that this person wasn't just a dreary edgelord. I get that your colors will be somewhat decided by what you find diving through clothes, but if I can just impart one lesson, it's that you don't want to take the easy option and pick up those black sweatpants just because they're the first thing that you see. Now, to completely contradict myself, I want to show you another of my characters. This is Fallow23, a cult leader who loves humanity to the point of militaristic Christian extremism. As you can see, the main color is red, because red can represent passion and love, but more obviously, red evokes a very angry, dangerous feeling. It's actually been scientifically proven that people see the color red as a more aggressive color, so even though the character is already a little off-putting with the mask, he's even more intimidating than he would be if his color was like blue or green or orange. Eagle-eyed viewers may also see that I immediately broke my rule of no black, which might seem a little confusing considering the aggression with which I just tried to tell you not to do this. But the point of the rule is to put it in your head that black is a very boring color and you should avoid it because everybody is using it just to fill in space. However, once you've started making outfits of your own, then you'll naturally fall into your own style. And then you can ignore the rule because your mindset has changed to already be thinking of how colors work together. In this case, Fallow23 has a SWAT team aspect to him, so wearing all black makes it feel more like a uniform. I want him to be scary, so I could have painted his armor red, but I chose to leave it black instead. If you start making costumes with color in mind, you start to get used to evoking a feeling out of the colors of your outfit. Then, picking black just becomes a legitimate option, and you're allowed to do it. You're no longer doing it just because, you're using it because it's the thing to put in there. But moving on, I want to talk about prototype costumes. Just because you created your first costume for your first character does not mean that you have to stop there. One of my favorite jokes at LARP is my character pointing out, "Hey, does anybody else think it's weird that we all seem to wear the same outfit every day?" Your character is supposed to represent a living person. It's fine if you want to wear different clothes sometimes. You should try to keep either a color theme or personality theme because you don't want people to mix up which characters you're playing. But there's nothing wrong with just deciding that you want to change in your outfit and switching some parts out, especially when you're making a new character. Starting out with a prototype outfit to get a feel for some of the more unique aspects is important. Your first outfit probably has a bit too many accessories, or you might have a huge cloak or a sweet blade, or some other badass fashion piece that seems like it'll be awesome in the moment because you've never walked around with it to learn how impractical the whole thing is when paired with the human skeleton. Please, don't be afraid to just put on your outfit and go walking around the local park, or even just bring it to a game to try out, and then walk right back to the drawing board when you realize that your 30-foot long sword just isn't as fun to carry around as you'd hoped it'd be. For instance, I wanted to strike a chord in fascistic, religious, military extremism with Fallow23, so my prototype outfit looked like this. I don't need to explain why. Between the two versions, the only thing that physically carried over was the SWAT vest and the gloves, but you can still see the inspiration. The red mask was turned into a different type of red mask. The concept of having an uncomfortable, unsettling vibe is still very present. It's still soldier-esque, but now it pushes more into being a zealous paladin rather than being a military brat's idea of a military brat. In fact, my very first LARP outfit was this, but it eventually became this because somebody handed me a new surcoat and said, "Go have fun, kid." It was a complete departure from what my character had worn before. Instead of red, it was blue. Instead of being a vest, it was a long coat. But it kind of didn't matter because I was new to the hobby. I didn't have the luxury of being picky. The coat was cool, and since I kept all my accessories, people still realized that I was the same character when they saw I was wearing the same belt and bags and weapon, etc. This is another reminder that at the end of the day, fashion isn't real. You don't need to listen to anything in this video. If God really loves you, he'll put you in something nice. Now, while we're on the topic, let's talk accessories, because this is simultaneously the most important part of your kit and the part that everybody neglects until it's staring them in the face, because it's the part of the kit that you kind of have to do last. Cartoon characters never have to worry about what to do with the things they pick up, or cutting away to another scene where they're not carrying it anymore. You, however, are a real person with carrying capacity turned on, and when someone hands you something, you are immediately given the dilemma of, well, what the fuck do I do with this? And that is why you accessorize. More so than being an expression of your character, accessories have a practical use. You should wear a bag, whether that be a satchel at your side, or a backpack, or a utility belt, or a bandolier filled with carabiners. You need to have some kind of container to hold things. Pockets are not enough. And plenty of fantasy clothes don't even have pockets, so don't think that you can get away with them. You should also have a cup, a mug, a flask, a water bottle that you've sucked all the air out of and twisted so that it's small. Something to carry portable liquids, because LARPing is a physical activity and you're going to get thirsty. If you are an archer, you will need to hold your ammo. If you are a swordsman, you will need to hold your sword. If you are a knight, you will need a leash for your squire to carry all the heavy things that you don't want to. You will need a belt to carry most of it on your waist, a book for casting spells, a bookbinder to carry that book, and a pair of extra socks. Once you have a practical understanding of how your character survives in the wasteland or in the woods, then you can consider buying that neat little potion kit that you saw sitting on the shelf of your Ren Fair. Look at this picture here. My fantasy boy carries a satchel for bigger items, and all of my out-of-character items like my wallet, my keys, things that I don't want to leave in a tent somewhere. But then he has a bunch of things on his belt that I've learned from playing the game that I want to have handy. The flask for drinking, the coin purse, because most games have a currency and I want to separate that from all of my other things. You can't see it here, but I carry a scroll case because I've been handed a surprising amount of papers that I don't want to crush in a backpack. Then you can also see some of the trinkets that my character has, like this necklace that he wears on his belt, or this little flag that represents his allegiance to some group. The pin on his vest means something. The fact that he doesn't wear the necklace around his neck means something. But really, all of these thematic accessories are only important to me. The typical player isn't going to think twice about them, and they certainly won't ask your backstory unless you volunteer that information. And in a group of so many players where everyone has a backstory, you should be picking accessories based on what makes you smile and not what you think other people are going to look at and ask about. But I digress. These accessories I have gained over a period of time and through trial and error, and if you are making a new character, I highly recommend wearing your entire kit and just take a walk in the nearby park so that you can make sure that you have everything that you need. It is like prepping for a hike in the woods with slightly less chances of being accosted by highwaymen. If you can't run without all of your weapons falling out or your belt tail slapping you between the legs, then you will not survive the siege. Finally, after all of this information, just to prove that I do in fact know a little bit of what I'm talking about here, I took 5 of my friends with me to go thrifting for completely new LARP outfits. No using anything that they owned previously. It is all going to be just from this one trip, and they are not allowed to seriously modify anything that they buy. They can snip off some stuff or do very, very basic sewing, such as like putting a patch on something or switching buttons out, but I want this video to prove that your first LARP outfit isn't as intimidating as it might seem. And sewing is a skill that not everybody has. So with that said, we went to a couple of random stores in Michigan, and here is how that went. Myself and a few of my friends went to a nearby thrift store big enough to house half a dozen aging millennials as we ran around filming clothes for no reason. For the most part, our experiences were pretty similar. Kendall and I tried to focus on vibes, Dell disappeared into space and we found him later looking at toys, and Rena took this job very seriously by going over the historical value of everything that she found.
This is a little bit, we're kind of cheating because we're, we're getting early, but RJ has found a pair of boots that might actually fit him. Actually, out of curiosity, like, did you take a couple of steps with it? Do you feel like you would be able to take this on like a walk?
We'll need inserts.
Okay, yeah.
Because there's no cushion to the shoe at all.
Yes. A shirt that is 100% cotton, which is real surprising. And it's very breathable as a fabric, which means that if we're going to be doing... Get out of here. Go find your clothes.
The first thing I typically go for is a shirt, because if I can find a good top, then the bottom will come.
What did he say?
Check this out. Right? So I'm going to find a blue shirt to go with this. And then you know what? I already have the pants.
We just found this shirt and pants combo. This looks like it was woven from magical threads. This is pretty awesome. I'm really digging the color. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it's got this iridescent sheen kind of look. I can tuck the bottom of the pants into my boots or whatever shoes I get, and I'm really just in love with this color. This is great. It looks very magical.
I saw this outfit that looks like it's velvet and has this velvety texture. This is 94% polyester. I don't know if you can see that. And 6% spandex. But like notably, you can see that there's a lot of serging used to just like put these pieces together, and some of it's already just coming out. And if I were wearing this in like, I don't know, like a combat LARP or something, like I would be a little bit nervous. But obviously, we might not be in a situation like that.
Like, I love the button on this top, and the way it buttons is very unique,
I think the top is perfect.
right?
I think the pants are great too.
And these are just my pants I was already wearing,
Ooh, okay.
right?
Ooh, this is very good. This is very good. This is very good.
Randomly found this pair of pants. They're very they don't have zippers, and they're very baggy, which means that they can play really nicely into, especially like I think dudes' first costumes.
We just found these bangles here. We're gonna go for 2 on each arm, and I think the colors go really nicely with the jacket and the shirt.
This one is made out of 100% rayon. Like we mentioned earlier, it's got some really interesting pattern work on it, which actually might draw the eyes away from the very obvious, otherwise like modern stitched components here.
That's very good.
And as a base, it's fine too.
I think as a base, it should be better if you wrap the shawl around your waist and then you get into LARP combat. Nothing's gonna get knocked off.
True. Well, that's why you belt it.
The earrings here, we're going for maximum dingle. I wanted to kind of add a little pizzazz here. Let me put it on the table here. These very weird, interesting looking earrings along with these bangles. If I can find some rings, we'll really be in business. But for now, I really like what we're cooking with.
A sloth.
Is it a sloth?
It is a sloth. I actually think I'm going to take that.
You should wrap this around the rest of your outfit in a really cool and fantasy-like way.
Especially since the earthy tones.
Hello there. I'm going in 2 very different directions. On one side, I have peasant. I'm very lucky to have found these pants. They work very, very well.
Oh wow, that's a very good set of textured pants.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. And then on the other side, I'm going water. I'm happy. So
Nice work.
I've heard you so far. You've been being very detailed in your analysis of what we should and should not get. I have been flying through here, going based off of vibes. If it feels right, I'm like, that's it. That's what we need. Is it historically accurate? No. A bag?
That's why you with that.
Nice. I thought everyone did a really good job. What you're looking at here is all from thrifting. None of it was pre-bought. And I found such a good dirty peasant outfit right off the rip that I decided to be bold and try for a whole second outfit. The results were not as impressive. It's not much because I started working on this one and I shipped it because I found a different clothing item that I liked a lot more. But this was $5 or $4 even. This was $3. You can just be a peasant. It's allowed, right? Like, no one's stopping you. I had another pair of pants that I might like put on as well, but like, first start, with this one, I had seen this and I wanted to keep it. So this was added to it so I could bring it flow, as well as the belt. The pants, unfortunately, didn't work as well as I had wanted them to. As far as like a first outfit goes, if you can find like these things, you can still make it, right?
Yeah.
But then you look at the shoes and it's like,
What are those?
all together, how much this ended up costing me was, this one was 10. 12, the shoes were 7, and then the pants were 5.
How much was the necklace?
Oh, right, thank you. 2. $2.
All right.
$6 total.
Oh, and there was a shirt underneath. What?
Oh, those pants are sick as hell.
Yeah, yeah, so we got the pants. The pants are probably my favorite part of this whole thing. These boots have like little buttony things on them too, which is very neat. A little scarf for accessorizing.
Are you wearing the belt that I got?
Oh, I needed something around here, right?
You
right.
did.
So, you know, I mean, if I had my way, it would be a more chunky belt, right? But this is what we had. This is what we're working with. It's
Yeah.
all about DIY. You know, maybe if I was at my second game, I would stick some brooches all over it. Maybe, you know, sew some patches into the elbows. Really lean into that that DIY spirit. Bangles for accessories. Love
Let's
them.
zoom in on those bangles real quick.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Shooting like lightning from my hand. It's fireball.
Very cool.
How does it look without the jacket? What's up? Because I see that there's a vest underneath it as well.
Yes.
You look like a sorcery pirate.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of do. Yeah, with the scarf and
And the
yeah.
vest.
Definitely.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
job.
This is what I found today. 5 hours and get you something like this. For women's belt, this was $3. Women's like shirt, just this right here. We just found on the rack. I think it was like orange tagged, so you know they're like take it half off. I'm not sure how much Kendall got this vest for. This might be something to ask her. Yeah, the scarf. These pants were $3. I think shirt was $3 too. Pants was $5. I actually spent more on these accessories, which I just realized I'm not wearing my dangly earrings, which is very sad. But
That's fair.
earrings and bracelet, necklace, those cost a net total of $19.
Most expensive stuff? The boots.
Oh,
$18.
How much?
18.
$18.
But that's probably the best piece actually. I think this was like $5.
What is it?
Appreciate
This is,
just the side cape. It's very
Yeah.
Western.
Then we got a sash. Got a couple pair of pants. I think the rest of this was all just a couple dollars. And a bunch of earthy jewelry. Oh, and then there's the bag.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a very good bag.
It's got a very strong presence from the back.
That's why I
Honestly,
needed the cape.
I think putting that bag on definitely helped because that one like strap on your arm breaks up the solid green
True.
in like an astounding way for being so little.
Shoes 18. The shirt was 6. Pants were 4. No, this was 6. The backpack was 3.
Wow.
And
I
the
feel like
jewelry
it's giving Rogue.
I think was
Yeah.
4 and $1.
Bard Rogue.
Hell yeah.
So I guess like for my plan, I think I might have said this previously, but I was looking to build something like a noble outfit, and I ended up sort of veering more and more coastal words as I kept going, just because I kept finding colors that were in these bright blues. The cost for this one is actually pretty high, but mostly because of the fact that I bought a bunch of jewelry to go with it. I do think that like a set piece like a tiara or something like that usually is, you know, if you're planning on building something that has like some gravitas to it, it might be important to have those kinds of accessories. So it's something that's worth looking for. I also bought a couple of extra items that increased the cost on paper, but I didn't end up wearing them, so.
This was $18.
Okay, the necklace was 18.
Yep, the tiara was $10.
So we're at 28.
This bangle was I think it was $3.
Okay, so that's
and
31.
This is 7.
So we're at 38.
Yeah. And then the shirt was $4.
Okay, we're at 42.
And then the scarf and the skirt combined were $8.
So it's $50.
Okay.
All right, $50. Honestly,
Oh, right.
that's
Sorry, the scarf was like $2.
52.
I forgot about the bag.
Oh,
the
okay.
bag was $10.
62. Okay. Fantastic. All right, run us through it and then run down how much it ended up being.
Sure. I first went with a base layer of this dress. I layered it with I want to say it's like a tank top blouse. And then I put this little black blouse on top of it. Then I did my shawl, and I do a belt over the shawl, so it gives me sort of a focused waist. I have my little clip-on earrings because regular earrings can irritate my ears when I'm LARPing. It's much safer to have clip-ons because if I get whacked a certain way, they just fall off. I think if I could, I would like to have a skirt hitch, but that's more advanced. For a basic outfit, I think this does fine. And I think all together, it was under $30 for sure.
The whole thing?
Yeah,
The whole thing?
yeah.
Dang.
Because this skirt was $6. This was $3. This was $3. This was $4. So purchase number 1 was $17, and purchase number 2 was $14.
Okay, $30.
Very good.
Capped it.
At the end of the day, the point of this exercise was to show how inexpensive buying your first kit is. So here is the breakdown of how much it cost each person to assemble their kit. As you can see, the expenses vary pretty wildly based on seemingly random factors, but it all stays within the realm of affordable, especially when you think about how the peasant's shirt at your local Ren Fair probably costs like $50 fucking dollars. This cost less than 10. But hopefully this video was able to help you learn how to be a thrifty savant and know which costume pieces to pick out when you're designing your very first character. But that'll about do it. Hope that you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, make sure to ring the bell, and check out my Patreon if you want to be a cool dude. And if you want to ignore all of my advice and buy costumes directly from the shop, I have a 15% discount code from Burgschneider right here for you to use. But yeah, Davvy out.